Hello and welcome to the big picture. The bogey of reservations has come back to haunt us. The Jats in Haryana have taken to the streets in the last few days, demanding that they be included in the OBC list. The demand of the Jats to be given reservations in education and employment had been considered under a special backward class quota in Haryana by then Congress government in 2014, and later the UPA government had included them in the central list also under the OBC category. However, both decisions have been quashed by the Supreme Court, and as well as the Chandigarh High Court. A review petition filed by the NDA government was also rejected by the Supreme Court. Meanwhile, it's not just the Jats in Haryana. Now their brethren in Uttar Pradesh are also getting restless again. The Patidars or Patels in Gujarat have also been agitating for a quota, and so have Marathas in Maharashtra and Kapus in Andhra Pradesh. Incidentally, all these castes are basically from the farming community, and they are also known to be relatively better off economically. So why are these communities demanding reservation? Is there in any way they can be granted it in the light of the Supreme Court judgments? Are the political parties being unfair to these communities as they will not be able to deliver what they promise? We will look at all this today with Sompal Shastri, former Union Minister of Agriculture in the Vajpayee government, Professor Satish Deshpande, Department of Sociology in Delhi University, Vikas Singh, former Additional Solicitor General of India, Ombir Singh Mandaar, President of the OBC Reservation Raksha Samithi, and also an advocate in the Supreme Court. And on the phone line from Bangalore is Aakar Patel, a well-known columnist and former editor. Welcome to all of you. Mr. Sompal, why have the Jats in Haryana taken to the streets now after all that has happened after the, it's been made clear by Supreme Court that they cannot be given reservations?
You see, if you have a look at the whole historical perspective, how the appointment of the Backward Classes Commission, which is now fondly known as the Mandal Commission, headed by Mr. Mandal, was appointed during the Janata Party regime when Chaudhry Charan Singh Ji was the Home Minister of India under Mr. Morarji Desai as Prime Minister. Historically, as I said, usually it is believed that all these farming communities, Jats, Gujars, Ahirs, Rhodes, Raya Rajputs and Kurmis, and also Sainis, they belong to the same farming community.
In Haryana, you're talking in Haryana?
No, I'm talking of whole of North India, including Haryana.
Okay.
They were all at par socially. Or if I say it in Hindi, गाँव में कहा जाता था इन सबका हुक्का एक है.
Okay.
Then the Rajputs considered them as the upper caste, and Banyas, Brahmins, Kais, they belong to the 7th class. So initially, in my view, Jats should have been included in the very first report of the Mandal Commission to have been given reservation.
In entire North India?
In entire North India. Because of this social order, as I related to you, and it's a known fact, it can be surveyed. Then there are certain other parameters, right? Educational backwardness, the economic backwardness or so. I know it very well in Haryana and in West UP as well. The first index of the farming community having certain status, economic status or economic condition is the land holding. Jats in West UP, particularly the districts of Saharanpur, Muzaffarnagar, Shamli, Ghaziabad, Meerut and so on up to Agra, per capita land availability and the average holding is lower than the Gujars and also certain other castes, and same applies to Haryana. So there was no reason that they have not been given, but then there is a certain procedure laid down. It is said that unless the commission recommends it, what the political parties ruling at different times did, that they went ahead with the recommendation of the Mandal Commission and they did not re-examine the issue, which should have been done in depth. No formal study has ever been conducted. Once this reservation has been granted to certain castes, they feel that it is their monopoly, and if the Jats enter it, they would share the cake. So they are resisting. Some of them have gone in for PIL also. But now you see the situation is that unless there is an in-depth and detailed study, I think nobody is qualified or authorized to opine that this should be done or this should not be done. What UPA did,
National Backward Classes Commission had done a report and made it very clear that the jats do not come under
they
the
also
socially
have not
educationally
done
backward.
they have not done any ground survey. It's just opinion.
Okay. Mr. Ombir Singh, you are the one who filed this petition in the Supreme Court, and on the basis of which the UPA government's decision to give jats reservation in the central OBC list was quashed. Now, what do you have to react to what Mr. Sompal says?
See, let me start from the Mandal history. When Mandal was appointed, the Chaudhary Charan Singh was there, but he himself says that if we people are put in the backward class, it will be defaming for us because we have better social status, but that is not on record. Still,
What is not on record? Let's not discuss it. No, that's not okay. Let's not discuss it.
Okay. Let me say it. The Mandal Commission report. It is clearly written in the Mandal Commission report the list of the forward caste where the Jat has been put in the forward caste category. After that, in 1997, the Jat community again demanded for the reservation, and reservation, the National Commission for Backward Class carried out a survey, detailed survey was carried out at that time.
In 97.
In 97. And the commission found that only the Jats of Rajasthan, except two districts, Bharatpur and Dholpur,
Right.
are backward. Rest of the states, Jats of rest of the states are not backward. So their demand was rejected except a portion of the Rajasthan. Thereafter, again in 2010, the commission again carried out a survey on their demand and again rejected the same. And now in the present case, the commission carried out a survey, then it was stopped in between by the political classes, and the commission was asked to give the report on the available data, and expert opinion was taken from the ICSSR by the commission, and a recommendation was sent.
Commission, you're talking about the backward class, National Backward Class Commission.
National Backward Class Commission, and a report was sent to the government by rejecting the demand of the Jat community. Commission found that Jat community is not backward. We, on behalf of this Samithi, submitted all the detailed data to the commission, where the data were taken by the RTI showing the representation of Jat community in the government services.
So you're
and thereafter.
So you're saying that you are countering Mr. Sompal's contention that no ground level survey was done.
No.
You think that the study done by the Backward Class Commission was a valid wide survey, and there was also a K.C. Gupta commission which was appointed by the Haryana government.
Let me clarify. K.C. Gupta report was false and was prepared on false and fabricated data, which were reproduced by us in the Honorable Supreme Court in the present case, which was called the Jat reservation case, and court found that there was a silly fabrications. Even 2 plus 2 becomes 4, so that was written 2 plus 2 6 if it suits to the Jat community because of the Congress government in Haryana, and that was taken very serious note by the Honorable Supreme Court, and it was rejected.
It was on that basis that the Huda government granted the reservation to the Jats.
It was totally a political move. Honorable Supreme Court says in its judgment that the backwardness is a social backwardness. The court asked the Attorney General of UPA government, ex-Attorney General and present Attorney General of the NDA government, both were presenting the Jat community, and the government, Honorable Supreme Court asked, show me the social backwardness of the Jat community. But it was nowhere shown.
Mr. Vikas Singh, my question is this. Is there any loophole left? Is there any loophole left in the law to grant reservations to these communities, whether it's for Jats in Haryana, or for the Patels in Gujarat, or the Marathas in Maharashtra, or the Kapus in Andhra Pradesh?
Well, to answer this question, you'll have to actually look at the larger issue. And the larger issue is that when the Constitution was drafted, the Constituent Assembly very clearly had intended that this reservation should be there only for 10 years, firstly. And secondly, it was also intended in the Constitution that when you make reservation for scheduled caste and scheduled tribe in services and posts, it should not be at the expense of efficiency in administration. Clearly meaning that the reservation is definitely bound to affect the efficiency of administration in some manner in the long term. Now, what has happened is that in this country, after getting freedom, we are continuing this reservation
But that is
because
not the
every
issue.
political
Sir, that
party
is
in
not the
power
issue now.
feels
I mean, that is not
if
an
it,
issue that
no,
has been discussed any
no,
number
that
of times.
I'm coming.
I don't
I'm
think we
coming
have,
to the issue.
yes.
No, I'm coming to the issue. The Mandal judgment came in 1992 by
Right.
9 judges of the Supreme Court. There also this 10-year issue was considered in some detail. Now, why this problem is coming, I'm coming to that. The problem is that the reservation on the basis of caste completely is oblivious of the fact that in the so-called forward caste, there are members who are deprived sections in that caste. And they are the ones who are becoming restless all over the country. They feel that the assumption is that people, forward caste people of their community, are taking care to ensure that every member of that community is well taken care of, which is not so. There is no way by which a forward caste can ensure that merely because you are forward, that means every member of your community is also being taken care of by the same community in some manner or the other. That is the reason for this problem which is coming up in every state, and this is bound to grow, and no government in the center or at the states can have that audacity to take a bold decision in this matter and do away with the reservation. So this, according to me, is the core issue, and if you don't address this core issue, this problem is bound to escalate again and again and flare up from
No,
state to state.
You're not
and it will
answered
become
my,
really,
sir, you're not answered my
problem.
question about whether there are any loopholes still existing in the law, because Supreme Court has clearly said the reservations cannot exceed 50%. And in all these states where these demands are being made, 50% reservations already exist. So that is why I'm asking you, is there any loophole through which these reservations can be granted at all?
No, this reservation, if at all is granted, will have to be within the limit of 50%. So
Exactly.
that means
Okay.
in some form or the other, they will eat into the reservation for the other categories.
Absolutely.
That can't be.
Yes.
And Giriji, I have a doctor's appointment. I'll be leaving the show. I said I'll be available only till 5:30.
Thank you. Mr. Ombir Singh.
I was clarifying the point of Mr. Vikas. Singh, what he says that it has to be for the directly or indirectly, he is carrying it on the point of the economic ground. What I am saying and what the constitution says and what for the reservation was given, that was the social backwardness, and social backwardness is the more permanent nature. It goes generation to generation, but economic backwardness can change within a year, can change within 6 months.
Yeah,
so that
within a
cannot be a
generation.
ground for reservation backwardness.
Okay. Let me get Professor Satish Deshpande. You know, why is it that the farming communities, who were considered to be dominant farming communities in all these states where we are witnessing these kind of agitations, getting onto the streets and demanding reservation? These were some of the people who would not have demanded reservation, say, about a decade or 2 decades back.
Yes, this is really the core question. And I think what we are witnessing now is really a new phenomenon. It is a 21st century phenomenon. And it is the product of the 1990s, a combination of mandalization in politics and liberalization in the economy. What we are seeing now is the not so well-off segments or poorer segments of communities that are actually forward and in fact politically also dominant, demanding reservation.
Right.
This is because the left behind section of this community has the social confidence to ensure that A, they can get the state to bend to their will, and B, that they will suffer no social consequences or costs because of taking this route to mobility. So because they can prevent anyone else from treating them as socially inferior, even though they may take reservation, that is why it is communities like this and not others that are coming forward to demand reservation. In my opinion, the biggest tragedy that happens with such demands is that it begins to discredit the very idea of reservation. As the previous speaker was saying, that reservation itself should be scrapped if such groups are demanding it. This completely misses the original intention of reservation, which was to address social discrimination, not just discrimination, but discrimination to the point of exclusion.
Right.
So in order to become a modern nation, we were required to have some kind of promise of inclusion to the groups that were, let us remember, excluded by law, not just by custom, but by caste law. They were excluded from society, the
Right.
Adivasis and the Dalits. So the promise to include them was what started reservation off in 1932 with the Pune Pact, which was then written into the 1935 Government of India Act, which created the schedules and so on, from which we have reservation. So what is happening today is that the new pattern of development, or the lack of it, that has been in effect for the past 20 years has raised expectations but not done very little to fulfill them. Very little employment generation, there is very little actual economic mobility, which was originally promised by globalization and the liberalized economy. So the groups, especially the left behind sections of dominant groups, are feeling the gap between their aspiration and their reality very sharply.
Okay.
And since they are feeling this gap, they are, instead of expressing their frustration with the economic system, which is preventing or not bringing about growth, they are seeking the easy route of reservation.
Okay.
Now, this is the problem.
Okay.
Reservation, a single policy, is being used to address many different needs or many different objectives, and that it cannot succeed in doing.
Okay,
We need to have reservation reserved or to kept aside for a particular problem.
That's an interesting. That's interesting what you say. Let me get Aakar Patel. Sorry, Aakar. I mean, the question is this: that as some of my panelists here have pointed out, one is why these dominant communities have now taken to the streets demanding reservation. Is it the fragmentation of the land holdings? When it comes to Patels in Gujarat, we have always heard that they were a dominant group both politically and socially there. Suddenly, why have they taken to the streets and why are they demanding? Is it because that the younger generation now find that coming from the farming community as they were in the past, they don't have anything to do there and they want these reservations in employment?
One big is the fragmentation and the pattern of holding of land, especially with the patidars. I think another aspect which is particular to Gujarat is that we have a manufacturing heavy economy that hasn't produced too many jobs. And Gujarat is unique in the sense that it is the only large state which has a 11-12% gap manufacturing over services. Services is still bigger, but it's more in terms of manufacturing by 10 or 11% than most of the other large states. Despite that, we have not been able to produce in Gujarat either high quality blue collar jobs or white collar jobs in manufacturing to the extent that the big cities in the rest of India have. So the social mobility that people just spoke about, moving from the lower middle class or outside the middle class into the middle class through, say, the English language, which is an option available to many people in Noida or in Bangalore or in Bombay or in Delhi, is not actually available to people in Gujarat. So I think the Patels have been on the periphery of a economic boom that has sustained itself over 20 years, but hasn't really resulted in high-end jobs. I think that is the one biggest factor for the discontent amongst the Patels.
Okay, Mr. Sompal, would you agree with some of the panelists? The 90s, the liberalization, the employment, there is no growth in employment, and also the fragmentation of land holdings. Are these the factors?
That is a very well accepted fact. I would like to quote Dr. Manmohan Singh, who is supposed to be a world-class economist and prime minister and who started the process of liberalization in India. He himself said on assuming office that what we are witnessing in India is a high-tech jobless growth. These are the world-known words which he has used. Many other economists have used. I have been 5 years in Planning Commission. We also recorded in the 10th plan document the same thing. The fact is that in spite of all the liberalization, all the technological advancement, all the managerial efficiencies and modern management practices brought into India, the whole organized sector of Indian economy, I repeat, whole organized sector, which includes the federal government, central government, state governments, all governmental institutions, educational institutions under the university system, the corporate sector and everything. This whole organized sector provides employment to only 8 to 9% of the workforce of India. So this is a fact that we are witnessing a jobless growth. So, but this one, but you see, we are missing the point on reservation. You see, I would like to settle three things.
Jats are not socially backward.
They are. No, they are. But you see, I'm.
No, you are saying that. But
no, please let me give a proof. Jats are socially backward. I would again repeat my remark. Jat, Gujar, Ahir, Rod, Raya Rajput, Kurmi, and Sani. No. Please, they have a, and I agree with Mr. Manbir Singh when he said that it was to be social backwardness.
Yes.
So who decides? Economic backwardness can be imputed value. You can identify the economic level because of the land holdings and the incomes. But social backwardness is a social practice.
It has to be decided by the National Commission for Backward Classes.
Not to be decided. It had been decided historically. All these communities belong to the, and one fact which is not remembered by all these social experts of the social studies, that there are certain common gotras which are blood lineage amongst all these communities which have enumerated. And the Gotra is a blood lineage, as I told. The Pawar, Chauhan, Rana, Gehlot, and so many Gotras which are common. So caste classification was a different phenomena, but they belong to the same strata.
Okay.
So the basic miss was at Mandal Commission's report. They did not conduct a survey. I contend it. On page number 28, they just included one remark, that the Jats of Bharatpur, some of them were approached. They said that they did not want the reservation, though they did not conduct the survey properly.
Okay,
and
but
none other commission has done
not
so
the
far.
Mandal Commission. This was the later report which came in 2014 or something.
Let me clarify. Backward Class Commission has not recommended the Jat to be backward. Let me clarify what the court has said. And the court has addressed each and every point which Mr. Sompal Singh is raising. Number one, the historical things, historical data cannot be taken today on account for considering some caste as backward. Number one. Today we have to see the present scenario. What is going on? What is the situation of what caste?
No, but historically,
caste is a historical phenomenon.
Caste is historical phenomena.
Yes,
but
nobody
what is your
can
position
this.
Today? You might have been backward in way 20, 30, 80 years back, but today you might have dominated everyone. So that was the comment of the court. I am clarifying the court. Number two, the fragmentation of land.
Seven out of the 10 chief ministers of Haryana were Jats.
Those are data were put to the commission as well and before the court.
Though educationally they're pretty backward, you know.
Let me clarify that. Second came the land fragmentation, land holdings, less landing holding, more land holdings. There are maximum caste in backward category, those who have no land at all. Third thing. Question came of comparison. The Mr. Sompal said that we are like Gujars, Yadavas or Sani or so on. Court has categorically mentioned in its present judgment, comparison cannot be a ground for backwardness. If a wrong inclusion has taken place, that cannot be a ground for another wrong inclusion. The court has
this is a wrong judgment by the court.
The court's judgment we cannot criticize.
It can be. Judgment can be criticized, not the judge. I contend you are a lawyer. The judgment can always be criticized.
But I am satisfied with
judgment can always be questioned, please.
If a judgment is correct on the law point,
judgment always can be questioned.
I agree with you, Mr. Sompal. Judgment can be questioned. I am sure you can.
This is wrong information by a lawyer who practices at Supreme Court.
The UPA government gave this reservation stating this only ground, that they are like Yadavas and Gujars. This was very heavily criticized by Honorable Court.
Supreme Court. Okay, Aakar, coming back to you. So you think that, you know, in the light of what the legal position which is there, the Supreme Court judgments, you think that the political parties are, you know, virtually taking these communities for a ride by promising them that, you know, they will come out with some way in which they will get reservation?
No, Mr. Nikam, I'd say that both the Patidars and the Jats, if we were to listen to the language on the television shows, they are quite aware of the background and they know that the government cannot get away with just a law. I think they are specifically demanding for insertion in the state OBC quota within the limit that is already existing. They recognize the fact that the Supreme Court will strike down anything that goes over that. So they are really clear about the quality of the demand. I think it will be difficult for political parties just to fob them off with of a law as has been done in the past. I think that this particular agitation by the Jats shows that they are extremely aware of the problems on the ground. Something a promise just put them off.
That's why they're rejecting the specially backward class category to be included in that category. Special backward classes.
You see, they are not seeking reservation differently. They are seeking inclusion in the
OBC
class.
list.
Yes, this
is the only problem with the OBC. The existing OBC, those who are poor people, weaker classes, depressed classes.
How do you define poor?
If a forward class come to that group, then there will not be a healthy competition. The whole quota, that is evident. Let me clarify. From the state inclusion, let me clarify one point. The Jat community, for the political motivative, without the recommendation of the different state commissions, has been included in the state list. And if you see the today's data, the Jat community is eating away almost 50 to 60% quota of backward classes in state services. So that is the evidence that if they come to central list also, they will eat away more than 60 to 70% quota, and the poor people will be losing that.
I mean, Professor Deshpande, that is another worry. This has been a discussion even when the Gujars were fighting for reservation in Rajasthan. These points came up. They may go and they may start monopolizing the reservation, the quota. You think that there is any solution at all for this kind of problems now?
I think it all depends on what reservation can get you ultimately. And that, in the end, if jobs are the main criterion, it depends on the job creation capacity of the government.
Right.
Now, in the recent past, the job creation capacity of the government has been shown to be declining and very small. So, in any case, whatever proportion any new group manages to wrest for itself from within the 49.5%, it is not going to mean very many new jobs relative to the demand for jobs.
Right.
So every group that is genuinely disadvantaged or feels that it has a genuine case, as well as the government, as well as political parties, we all need to look beyond just reservation as a solution.
Right.
And most of all, we must stop using this kind of situation where relative economic disadvantage or backwardness is one thing, extreme forms of social exclusion are another thing.
Absolutely.
To the extreme forms of social exclusion that Dalits and Adivasis suffer from, forced inclusion via reservation is the only solution.
Okay.
Whereas for other problems like relative economic backwardness, we may have a combination of other measures, not just simple quotas, that may address the problems of those groups.
Okay.
And this is how we now have to think. We have to think beyond one size fits all formula.
Okay, Aakar, very quickly, with even the government jobs, not too many of them there. Why are these people thinking that that's the only place where they can now get employment?
There is very little access outside of the very large cities, the 4 or 5 that I named, to get white collar jobs. I think people are no longer satisfied with the idea of doing blue collar work, especially the landed peasantry, the Patidars, the Jats in particular. They don't see themselves as being socially backward, as has been said. We see ourselves as being a sub. In Gujarat, for instance, we have participated in anti-reservation riots all these years. We find it very difficult to accept the fact that we are Shudra. I think that for very large numbers of landed peasantry in India, the exclusion from economic growth is a reality, and I think that
Aakar,
this is not something that will end.
Aakar, sorry to intervene, completely run out of time, but that's the irony of the whole thing, that these were the people who did not want to be, who were anti-reservation at some point of time, now demanding reservation. This is the irony of the situation. We'll wait and watch how the government will handle this situation, which has taken a violent turn, but hopefully, we are seeing reports that things are coming under control in Haryana. Thanks to all my guests. Please keep watching. We'll come back with another issue, the big picture, same time tomorrow.